Hi, I'm Erin Spain and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I made this DIY floating desk with sort of a graphic design painted on top. This was a really easy build, but I love the way it looks and it could easily be customized to suit your style by changing up the pattern or the color scheme or even the dimensions. I'll be sure to link to the written tutorial that's on my blog in the description box below, as well as a supply list and a cut list. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let's pretend I don't have a Spider-Man band-aid on my thumb. Anyway, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon so you can be notified of my future videos. You can also follow me over on Instagram at ErinSpainBlog to see what I'm working on next. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get started. First, I measured and cut a 1x4 board into two pieces at 15 3/4 inches each and two pieces at 13 3/4 inches each. These will be the sides and the divider pieces of the desk. I used a speed square clamped to my board to guide my circular saw and help me get a straight cut. I sanded everything with my orbital sander. Then I got out my pocket hole jig and adjusted it according to the thickness of the wood I was working with, which in this case is 1x lumber, which is actually 3/4 of an inch thick. I also adjusted the collar on the drill bit that came with my pocket hole jig. Then I drilled pocket holes along one side of each of the 1x4 boards I just cut. This will allow me to attach these to the top of the desk from underneath without being able to see the screws from the other side. I swapped out my drill bit with the long driver bit that came with my pocket hole jig, and then I took one of my two 4-foot long project panels and chose which side I wanted to be the top of the desk, and I flipped it face down onto my work surface so that I could work upside down, and I'll flip it back over later. I placed my 15 3/4 inch long 1x4 boards at each end of my project panel, and I attached those with 1-inch pocket hole screws. For this project, I used pre-laminated spruce project panels from Home Depot. It's just a lot more convenient than having to laminate my own. I measured 1 foot in from either side and placed my shorter 13 3/4 inch boards there. These are shorter so that there will be space in the back to attach a 2x4 board horizontally on the wall, drilled into the studs for added support, and the desk will still sit flush against the wall. And I also attached these pieces with 1-inch pocket hole screws. I used my speed square to line everything up just to make sure that I was installing this board straight. I placed what will later be the bottom of my desk on top, we'll flip it over later, and I used my countersinking drill bit to pre-drill holes. I attached it using 1-inch wood screws, and I just sort of drilled 3 or 4 screws into each section where there was a board underneath. So I drilled it directly into the divider panels and into the side panels. I stained the desk with Minwax Special Walnut stain, but I used Behr Special Walnut on the version that's on my blog, and I think that stain is maybe a shade lighter than this one. I used a cotton cloth to apply the stain, and I used cotton swabs to stain in the pocket hole nooks and crannies. To create the design, I measured the halfway point of each side and marked it, then I measured 8 inches from each end and marked that too. I used frog tape painter's tape and I stuck it on using the marks to line up the tape. This created an angle on each end, and from there I kept taping and following this design using the previous strip of tape as a guide until I got to the middle. I wanted the stripes to be equally spaced, so I attached each piece of tape next to the one right before it. I marked an X with my pencil on every other strip of tape so that I could easily identify which ones to peel off before painting. I removed every other strip of tape using an X-Acto knife to score and cut away the excess tape as I went along, creating crisp angles. After I peeled off every other strip of tape, I added a couple of strips on each side that ran the opposite direction from the rest, creating a crisscross. I painted over the entire surface of the desktop with 2 coats of Behr Marquee in the color White 52. I allowed the first coat to dry thoroughly before adding the second, and then when the second coat was still damp, I peeled the tape off. I finished it with a water-based polyacrylic top coat. I picked up some shelf brackets at IKEA and I sprayed them with primer, and then I used Rust-Oleum metallic gold spray paint. To hang the desk, I attached a 2x4 horizontally, drilling it directly into the studs. Then I slid the desk onto that and drilled from the top to attach it to the 2x4. This provided additional support since the shelf brackets aren't super wide. Then I hung the shelf brackets, attaching them to the wall and to the bottom of the desk. You can find a link to the written tutorial as well as the supplies I used in the description box below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Ready for some outtakes? Here you go. But it could easily be... Why did I say it like that? By just changing up the pattern or the color scheme, I can't talk. Graphic pattern painted on top. This happens every time. Erin Spain, and welcome to my channel. I have a Spider-Man band-aid on and it's distracting me. Okay, description box below, as well as Thanks for watching. I'll be back next Thursday with a new video, so be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when that's released. You can find me online at ErinSpain.com and on social media at ErinSpainBlog.